the time, you manage the time. There's an old saying that you should have 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of play, and 8 hours of work. Don't do that. If you're going to be successful, don't do that. My advice, and this is a minimum, is 7 hours of play, 7 hours of sleep, and 10 hours of work. Somebody says, well, I don't want to work 10 hours. I worked at McDonald's last summer, and 8 was long enough. I don't expect you to work there the rest of your life. I expect you to work somewhere where it's an occupation and you like what you're doing. You're having fun doing it. If you're having fun doing it, that 10 hours will feel like 4. If you don't like what you're doing, that 8 hours will feel like 15. You just be watching the clock and it won't move. I had a preacher one time that there's that way, you'd see people in church going, they thought the watch had stopped. I mean, he put you to sleep. One exception to the 7, 7, and 10, in that I take 5 minutes out of the 10 hours and make it 9 hours and 55 minutes of work. Take 5 minutes and think. 5 minutes and think. Best time is when you get up. Do not do this in bed. You'll go back to sleep. Wake up and do it. 5 minutes. You say, well, what's 5 minutes, to think? And I always like to get a class just to don't look down or starting. I want to take 15 seconds starting right now. That seemed kind of like a long time, didn't it? 5 minutes. Just stop and think of 5 minutes. And you say, well, what do I think about? What are you doing in life? Where are you going? What do you want to do? What are you going to be doing? What's important to you? You don't have to be thinking about your business. You might think about your business. You also need to think about your relationships. And in that 5 minutes will help you as much as anything else you'll do. Let's say that you sleep late and it's always a photo finish to get to class on time or to work. If that's true, you may have 5 minutes later in the day or evening. It's just like working out, and we'll talk about health. But some people work out early in the morning. I always work out around 5 to 7 o'clock because it kind of releases tension that's built up during the day. Some people like to do it early. But make sure you do it sometime. 5 minutes. It's not much. Now, we have one video that I thought was pretty good, and I want you to look at that video.
Hi, my name is John Maxwell, and Ingrid Engelbrecht from South Africa brought the word time to me. She's an educator. And time is something that we all have an equal amount of. Nothing bothers me more than to have somebody say, well, I'm killing time, or I'm trying to just hang out until something kind of happens. Often people talk to me and say, John, teach on time management. And I tell them, you can't manage time. Time goes on. You don't need to manage it at all. It doesn't need your help. It doesn't need my help. We get 24 hours. That's all we get. You get it. I get it. We all get it. So you don't manage time. What you really do is you manage yourself. See, the best use of time isn't to manage time. The best use of time is to manage me, so that I take the time that I have and I do the things that I need to do. If I do that correctly, then time becomes my friend. If I do it incorrectly, then time becomes something that I just kind of bear with and kind of kill until the next important event. Ingrid, I want to give you a challenge this weekend, and I want to give everybody a challenge, and that is this week, number one, log your time. Now, don't log it by the minute or by the half hour. That's a little bit too tedious. But let's just take, I don't know, maybe 8 hours of your day, your best waking hours, maybe from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. And just kind of log your hours and just put in each hour what you did with your time. And at the end of that, ask yourself a very simple question. Did I maximize my time? Did I use it correctly? Did I manage myself well? Or did I just kind of let hours slide by and didn't really get the best use out of it? I guess the choice is yours. Do the assignment and see how you do.
You know, how long was that? Huh? 4:57? 1:57. I was saying it was 4:57. Boy, I was at 1:50. It's he makes a good point, and the time management is to try to get you. And the reason I want you to think about these things is that I don't want you wasting time on video games or sitting around the dorm talking about what happened with your girlfriend when you were a sophomore and she left you for your best friend. And you just get so sad you decide to go drink beer over it. That's not good time management. That's bad decisions. That ought to be worked out in those 5 minutes. Get over it. She's gone. Get over it. He's gone. They're not coming back. Watch the time. It is so important that you're going to outwork people. You're going to have a great advantage over everyone where you use your time. Now, I had do you have that card? I carry with me, this is my third page. This is my last page today. And that I've got a group at 3:30, and then I'll leave and go to Dallas. And then I'm tied up tomorrow and tonight and all that tomorrow. We took this from just a typical day that 8 o'clock, I've got a Chamber of Commerce breakfast. I'm not big on breakfast. If you see me at a breakfast, you'll know there's a reason I'm there. It's important. Every once in a while somebody will say, let's get together for breakfast. And I don't say it, but I'm thinking, why? Give me one good reason. If they say something like, I'm going to give $1 million check, I say, what time do you want to meet? 8 o'clock, Chamber of Commerce breakfast. Okay, when you go to the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, the staff should have for me a list of the membership of the Chamber of Commerce so that the night before I can look through it and refresh the names of people. I may not have seen someone in 5 years. Refresh the names so that the minute I see them, I say, hey, Bill, how you been? And I remember something about them. So I don't go up and say, hey, how you doing, buddy? Have you ever had somebody look at you and you know they didn't remember who you were? They had that Superman look. Superman has the ability to do what? Look through walls. Every once in a while. There was a guy who lived over in Bledsoe Hall one time, and I was always afraid of him. He had the Superman look. He had that look. He didn't blink a lot. You know, be careful people do that. You want to be prepared for the meeting you go to. What is the subject? Are you going to be speaking? Are you going to be on a panel? Are you just going to be there and be introduced? If you're going to be there and just be introduced, can you sneak out the back? Can you slip it into the back and sneak out? 9 o'clock, Enrollment Management Task Force. This is about a 5-year-old agenda. And that's when we're looking at growth, how do we do recruiting better. 9:30, marketing athletics. That'd be one with the athletic director. 9:45, you'd be meeting with the athletic director on facilities. Every college in America, every college, every university has someone in the athletic department that has come up with an idea for a new building. bar none. If you build 50 buildings tomorrow, they're still going to have one. I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that's a fact. And I had a meeting with Dr. Guy Bailey, who was president of Tech then, and then I had a meeting with the editorial board. So with Dr. Bailey, I've got to make sure I get out of there by 10:30, so I make it downtown to the Lubbock Avalanche Journal editorial board and answer questions they may have about what's going on at Texas Tech. Because you can go out and talk to people during the day and you see a few people, but if you're on television or in the newspaper, there'll be tens of thousands that you'll be communicating with. Now, one thing that I did on this schedule, you notice something that's missing? Lunch. I don't like to go to lunches. You know, if you see me at lunch, there's a reason. Or unless I'm taking my staff to one of my two favorite places, Taco Villa. I like their ice. It's good ice. You chew on that ice. It's like Sonic. Or you can go to Dion's and get some kind of deal. They've always got a deal. I just want the sandwich. It's got turkey on it. But more important than that, more times than not, if I have lunch, it's going to be in my office at my desk. Somebody bring me a sandwich, and I get a lot done then. I'm not going to waste. If you go to the Texas Tech Club, you can write down an hour and a half. It's gone. That's a long time. It better be good. Whatever you're going to be doing. 1:30, meeting in the Chancellor's office with the LP&C. That's facilities planning and construction. And I was meeting with them about new dorms. We're going to have a real photo finish this year on the dorm on the 19th. They got to be people moving in there the 15th of August. So it's going to look like a little ant bed from time to time when you drive by. 2 o'clock, I had a conference call with Dr. Joe Rollo, who's president of Angelo State, who's now vice chancellor at Texas Tech. 2:30, had a meeting with Dr. Kelly Overly and Scott Cooksey, and they were number one and number two in fundraising, and so I had to spend time on that. 4 o'clock, I had to go to an awards ceremony. They have an awards ceremony that just happened to be the day I had it, and it usually lasts an hour. And we give the 5-year award, the 10-year award, it goes on up. I've given a few 50. Any of you know Bill Dean? Raise your hand. Yeah. He teaches, and he's executive director of the Alumni Association. And Dr. Dean, I gave him a 50-year pen. 50 years. It goes like that. 5 o'clock, I had a reception for the new faculty. And you always want to go to that. And at the Fraser. And then I probably got in at that at about 5:15 and was out by 5:30. Went home, worked out, and came back and spoke to the alumni group at the Mercury. That's what I do formally. And then when I get back home, I will do emails because during the day, you don't have time to do emails. And I usually finish those by about 11. And then I read until 12:30. I always go to bed at 12:30. Try not to make 12:31. Because you start, stealing 5 minutes and it's 12:35, and all of a sudden it'll be 1 o'clock. That happens a lot to college students, doesn't it? I'm going to get to bed tonight by 11 o'clock. I got something, and all of a sudden you look and it's 2:15. Well, it looks like I missed it a little. Ho, ho, ho. What am I going to do? I always get up at 4:30. And then I get up for an hour, finish any reading. I read the newspapers online, and then I go back to sleep at 5:30. This is kind of a crazy schedule, but it's really worked for me. And at 5:30, I go back to sleep, and I'll sleep until about 6:30 or 7. Then I get up and start the day. And the reason, if I wake up, I always wake up. Sometimes it's 4:15, sometimes 4:45. Usually around 4:30. If I wake up and don't get up and eat an apple, one apple a day, well, that's good. You know a few things, that's good. We're making progress. If I don't do that, I won't go back to sleep. I'll just be wide-eyed and I get sleepy during the day. Now, you've got to see you've got to adjust what works for you. And the important thing, some people need 7, 8 hours of sleep. You know, I'm married to a woman that needs 9. She goes to bed around 9 o'clock. And if she's here, I'd say this. I'm not saying, if she gets less than 9 hours sleep, you need to allow distance. You know, some people like that. My dad and my son, somewhere in our genes, our ancestors were running from people. They didn't sleep much. And that you always want to make this. I can be refreshed with 5 hours. I can really be refreshed with 6. And on the weekends, the schedule changes a little. And that you want to be refreshed so you can do your best. Don't be sleep deprived. But try to make sure that you have the 5 minutes, that's important, and that you get to 7 hours of sleep unless you can get, you'll find this out as you get older. Just because I said 5 to 6 hours sleep for me, that may not work for you. And you may need 9 hours to be productive. So make the adjustments to do whatever you need to do to be productive. When you're doing that 5 minutes, think. Do not just waste it on something. And just the best thing to do is sit in a chair that is not comfortable. And sometimes you want to write down on a piece of paper what you want to think about that day. What's important to you? I want to ask y'all a question, just anyone. What was the biggest problem in your life a year ago last Tuesday? You probably don't remember. Homework, maybe. But there's not many of you that I could ask, what was the biggest problem in your life a year ago last Tuesday? A year from now, you're probably not going to remember what the biggest thing in your life was. Don't let things overwhelm you. Every year we have a few students that take their life. And I always wish I could have talked to them. You know, if you get overwhelmed by something, call me. Call my office. Say, I'm overwhelmed, I need to talk to the man. And they'll put you in touch with somebody else. They won't know who that is. Don't let things, that's what, that 5 minutes, you're overwhelmed every day. You got iPhones, iPads, you're listening to music, people are talking to you. Have you, every once in a while, the TV will stop, and what happens? Everybody looks at it. You know, they think something's wrong. I ran a political ad one time, in the first 5 seconds, there's just nobody said anything. People look at it. What's going on? What's wrong with it? So that's the reason that 5 minutes, that's your time. That's your time. Be selfish about your time. Because if you are and you use it right, you'll be a lot better person for the other people that you're around. Saving time. The getting in the right lane at the right time. You know, I mentioned that. I take it, some people say I take it to extremes. You don't have to do this. But I figured out in Austin, where my office was, which set of elevators was the fastest. And I could save 6 to 10 seconds. But I was doing it, if I could save 10, that'd be 40 seconds in a day, And you know, you get 5, that's 200, and so you get 3 minutes and 20 seconds you've saved. But if you do that, it eventually pays off. Now, I interviewed for a job when I was my last year in law school with a firm in San Francisco. And I go to San Francisco, they fly me out there, they wine me, dine me, and it was, they did a great job. And they had me at the Fairmont Hotel, and you could see the fog come in over the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. You could hear Tony Bennett in the background singing "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." You really couldn't, but back there, some of y'all wouldn't know that song, but it was a great song. And, I just looked out and I thought to myself, this looks a lot like Lubbock. You're supposed to laugh at that. San Francisco does not look like Lubbock. Nor is it like Lubbock. Nor is Lubbock like it. And on Monday morning, I made up my mind Sunday night to take the job. But I was going to tell them at the end, and they were great on salaries and everything, and they had a breakfast. And the breakfast was like, I think at 8 to 9 or something like that. And it was like with 5 partners. And 4 of them were there. And one guy came in as we were finishing up, about 10 after 9. And he said, there was a wreck on such and such freeway, and it was just a nightmare. And so I met him and talked to him, and I said, how long is it? It had taken him an hour and a half to get to work. And hour and a half. Wow. But he said it usually wasn't that bad. Usually you get to work 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm going, oh, okay. And how long does it take to get home? You can always ask, that's not a stupid question. It may take an hour to get to work, but it may take an hour and a half to get home. Different traffic flows. And so I figured out that he was spending 10 hours in his car. There were no cell phones then. Just driving along, listening to radio. Boy, this is fun. And they asked me what I thought, and I said, I need to think about this. I was prepared to tell them I was going to go to work for them. And I flew back, and I had my pencil out, and I was marking on a magazine, the airline magazine, where there was kind of some blank on a page. 10 hours in that week. That's 40 hours in 4 weeks. I'll have a vacation 2 weeks, okay. 50, you get to looking, well, another couple of weeks. But you have 48 hours, that's 10. It's 480 hours, and that's 20 days. But you're only up part of the day. So all of a sudden, you've lost somewhere between 30 and 45 days on a freeway in San Francisco. And we landed in Austin, and the next day I called him and told him I wasn't going to take the job. And I took a job in Lubbock, teaching at Tech and practicing law. And then when there was bad traffic, sometimes it'd take 12 minutes. And what am I going to do? It's bad traffic. It was good. I made the right decision. So look at what happens on your utilization. I might not have made that decision if I'd had a cell phone. Might not have made it. In saving time and in saving hours, one of the things I do is that whoever takes me On the way to the airport, when I'm going to the airport, I'll make phone calls today. And when I'm making phone calls, I help the driver. What does that mean? Pass them. Yeah. Speed up. Speed up. Slow down. I rarely give that one. And I stay on the phone, and you can get some calls done. But when I come in, my staff always has a lot of work for me to do. And I can sign letters going home. That's 15 minutes. You sign a lot of letters. Write a little note. So you're utilizing your time fully. If you want something done, find the busiest person in town, and they'll get it done. When I was a candidate for office, and I needed someone to be my campaign manager in La Mesa, or Abilene, or Houston, I wanted someone that was busy, because they knew how to do it. If you were going to try to train someone how to do it, you forget that. You don't have time. You need to have someone that's been the president of the Chamber of Commerce, president of the school board, that have done a lot of things. One, they're going to know more people, and number two, they're going to be able to utilize their time a lot better. Mark Twain once said, "Do something every day that you don't want to do." And that's to get something off your plate that bothers you. How many times have you ever put something off that you need to do, and you put it off for 2 weeks, and it'll just be back there talking to you every once in a while? You need to do such and such. I make a list of things I need to do every day. And I try to do the toughest one first. Just get that over. Now, how many times have you done something that you need to do, and you just felt relief when you got it done? An assignment or whatever, you just say, oh, great. It was a great help. Also, I have a call sheet in my office, and it lists everybody that's called in. You know, somebody returned a call, I mark them off. They're not on there the next day. But I go through and number them. And I was telling my sister about that one time. And she said, what number do you give me? And I said, well, it depends on what's happening. And she said, really? And I said, I always give you 1 or 1A. I knew that my answer needed to improve on that. But number those calls so you can look at it and give it to the assistant, and they can start moving those calls. When I was in Congress, I had a beeper at my desk. It was a little buzzer. And when I was wrapping up a call, I could buzz the front desk, and they could get the next call so that as soon as I hung up, I could go to the next one. All that, they save you time. They save you time. Managing your mail. That is becoming less of an issue than it is managing your email, managing your Facebook, Twitter. All those, there are a lot of differences. Time. Do we have the video? How many of you know who Rudy Gay is? Anybody ever heard of Rudy Gay? Basketball player. You have that one? Okay, I want you. This is an example of what not to do on your time. Be aware of your time. We'll watch this 2 or 3 times.
Rudy got the knockaway. Loose ball picked up by Rudy. Oh, Rudy had plenty of time. With 7 seconds, he launches a shot. Bryant for a 3 at the horn. To to tie the game at 24.
Rudy, what are you thinking? Be aware of where you are. Be aware of time. I want to see it one more time. I always like to see this. See? All right, Rudy, he's going to... Wow, there it goes.
He had plenty of time.
He had plenty of
With
time.
7 seconds, he launches
Guy
a
gets it,
shot.
dribbles 3 times, throws it
Bryant
down the
for
corner,
three
boom.
at the horn. To tie the game at 24.
Rudy, what were you thinking? That's good. I always think back on that. I mean, be aware of the time. How much time? Do you lose track of time sometimes when you're getting ready for an exam or getting ready for a paper? You look up in that clock. You look for the person that moved it. The clock moved itself. Somebody sneaked in here and moved the clock there, during the time I was looking. And that one is one of the ones that I like. Execution. Message from Garcia. And I'm going to talk about this a little later and also next week. That is a great article. I wanted you to read. I hope all of you read it. Execute. That's the rare item that you find with most people. They don't execute. When he walked in that office, in the president's office, they didn't have cell phones. Barely had telephones. They told him what they wanted to do. He didn't say, well, let me hire a consultant. Yes, I'll appoint a committee. What did he do? He did the job. He went out and found General Garcia in Cuba. He found him. That's important. Execution. Being able to move. There were 2 things. Lee Iacocca, who used to be CEO and chairman of the board of Chrysler, said, the right decision is the wrong decision if you make it too late. Some people, they'll be trying to make a decision, they'll put it off and put it off and put it off. They'll put it off so long that they'll make it and it'll be the wrong decision by then. You've got to be able to make decisions. John Wooten, he was a great basketball coach. Probably the finest basketball coach in college history. When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. Boy, and that is so good. You got to be prepared ahead of time. Now I want to share one story. Ed Whitaker, our alum that the engineering school's named after, he was 31 years old. He was working for AT&T in New York City. And one Monday morning, he got to his office, and they said, the CEO wants to see you. And he said, see me? I mean, he had met the guy. He'd shaken his hand once or twice. And he asked his boss, are they going to fire me? And his boss told him, no. If they was going to fire you, you wouldn't see the CEO. Somebody else see you. And the CEO, he doesn't have to fire people. He got somebody that does that. You get that higher in the corporate chain, you'll have somebody that can fire people. You're the designated fire today. Now, he goes down there, and they said, Ed, do you know so-and-so? And he said, sure. He just got the job in Arkansas as new president. And they said, we were going to announce him Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Wednesday at 4 o'clock. But he came in this morning, and his wife is going to divorce him if he moves to Arkansas. That's not a good... Arkansas Chamber of Commerce will not use this story. If they catch me telling it, they just won't use this story. And they said, can you be there Wednesday at 4 o'clock? Because we've already called the press conference at 4 o'clock on Wednesday to announce the new president. We don't have one now. He's 31 years old. He said, yes. He didn't say, let me go talk to my wife, let me talk. And you know why he didn't? They made a decision when they got married that every time he got a chance to advance in the corporate structure, they were going to take it. So they'd already made that decision. When opportunity knocked, Ed and Linda were ready. And he called her, told what the deal was. She had some clothes packed for him. He came by, got it, and took off. Got down there, got announced, found an apartment for them. They moved in, they sold the house, and then bought another house. When he got to be CEO and chairman of the board of his company with SBC, later became AT&T, he asked to see his HR file. Now, if you get to be CEO someday of a major company, you can ask to see your HR file, and they'll bring it to you. And you can see who made some bad comment about it, you can fire him. He looked through his file, not seeing somebody say, but he just wants to see it. The CEO of AT&T, when he made that decision, there was a typed memo about what happened, but the CEO had written in longhand, when his number was called, he was ready. Isn't that good? When his number was called, he was ready. How many times did someone look through that file as he was going up the corporate ladder, and they saw that letter in the memo? When the number was called, he was ready. That's important. That is so important. And it goes back to what John Wooden said. When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. He was prepared, and opportunity came along, and he didn't waste any time. Can you be there at 4 o'clock on Wednesday? Yes, I can be there. And it made it pretty easy. Execution, I think I had a client that Hurricane Katrina, I was representing on some of the cleanup, and we had a meeting with FEMA, and he was not seated. I always learn this with certain clients. Sit close enough to him, you can kick them if they're saying the wrong thing. And the bureaucrats were giving him all kinds of reasons they couldn't do this or they couldn't do that. And he talked about it had been 6 months. It had been 6 months, and FEMA and the government had not moved the abandoned cars. And I could tell he was getting mad, and all of a sudden he said, just move the effing cars. Except he didn't abbreviate it. And I mean, it took everybody's breath away. They were just like, ooh, ooh. You know, and as his attorney, you don't want to lose your composure. It looks bad if you run out of the room, get in the car and drive off. Can't leave him. I will say this. The next week I was down there was not an abandoned car to be seen. They had moved those kind of cars. Also called abandoned cars. They executed. And before then, they did not execute. In closing today, I want you to remember this. When your number's called, be ready. If you play in a band and you don't work out ahead of time, if somebody wants to move you to first chair, it's not going to happen if you hadn't been working out. If you play a sport, if you're taking a course in college and you have not been to class and you have not read this, you're not going to be prepared when opportunity knocks. Opportunity may be the chance to make a high grade on the exam that the professor would ask you something about, would talk to you about you making an A+ or a 99 and no one else made above a 75. You'd probably cross-examine you, wonder if you cheated or something. But all kinds of opportunities may come about if you're well prepared. So when the opportunity knocks, be prepared. Thank you.